to it. There is no fire that can be extinguished by adding more petrol in it or wood in it. Similarly, there is no desire that can be fulfilled by providing it with objects of desire. So what we're doing is wrong. What you need to do is sublimate the desire. And you sublimate the desire by picking up a desire at a higher level. When you pick up a desire at a higher level, the lower desire vanishes. But as long as you are consumed, as long as you have a desire, it finishes you off, consumes you. It eats you up. And mahapapma, it agitates your mind. The moment you entertain a desire, the moment you cultivate a desire, you're asking for trouble. Because until such time as the desire remains unfulfilled, your mind will be in a state of constant agitation. When you fulfill it, you're in deeper trouble. When it is obstructed, it leads to anger. Whatever you do with that desire, you're stuck with it. So what he says is there's only one way out, and he gives, throughout the scriptures, he gives a formula for happiness, and that is happiness equals number of desires actualized divided by number of desires harbored. If you follow this formula carefully, if you want your happiness to increase, what must you do? Either increase the number of desires that you're fulfilling, or decrease the number of desires that you are harboring in your mind. Without understanding what is happening, we just simply go out into the world trying to fulfill the desires, which means trying to increase the numerator. But it never works. Why? Because in the process of increasing the numerator, without your realizing it, insidiously, the denominator also increases. In other words, you go out and try and fulfill one desire, and you might fulfill it. But alongside, as you're fulfilling it, 5 other desires come. So you have to be very careful how you deal with it. Plus, what you need to understand is the numerator, the number of desires fulfilled, is actually irrelevant to your happiness. What really makes a difference is the denominator, the number of desires that you are entertaining. Even mathematically it works out. If you leave the numerator as it is and shift the focus of your attention to the denominator, let me see how I can reduce the number of desires I am entertaining. And that can be done through the 3 yogas, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. As you do this, as you systematically reduce the number of desires that you are harboring, what happens to your happiness? It increases in leaps and bounds. And somehow, if you are able to get that denominator to 0, you get infinite happiness. So that's what he's saying here. Know this as the enemy here. The second word that he uses for enemy, vairinam. Without understanding this, we are unintelligently increasing the desires. And nature has provided us with the perfect environment, with an environment that is most conducive for us to sublimate our desires and get to that state of happiness, infinite happiness. What a wonderful thing. The whole world is inspiring us to get there, facilitate our getting there. But all that we do is, right through our life, keep adding desires. And the more desires you accumulate, the more difficult it becomes for us to live life. That's why he says, it's the enemy. It is all devouring, it is all sinful. Know this as the enemy here. 38.
धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निः यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्.
As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror by dust, as an embryo by the uterus, so is this Atman covered by that desire. So here you find a beautiful blend of philosophy and poetry. He gives wonderful examples. See, to communicate these subtle thoughts is difficult if you don't use examples. And throughout the scriptures, he keeps using examples, metaphors, stories to communicate the philosophy. And here is one such example. He gives 3 metaphors to explain the 3 kinds of desires. He's already said, he's referred to Rajoguna. Now he is giving 3 metaphors to explain the 3 kinds of desire: tamasic desire, rajasic desire, sattvic desire. Because we have all 3. Every human being has all 3. It's for you to identify where tamas exists and get after it on a war footing. Identify where rajas exists, try and refine it. Identify where sattva exists and go all out to encourage it, develop it. So the 3 metaphors are: number 1, smoke around fire. When there is a fire, there will be smoke around it. That smoke obscures the fire, yes. But even when the smoke is there, you are able to see the fire. And the second attribute of smoke is, you don't need to put in effort to remove the smoke. Just a whiff of breeze is enough. A gentle breeze is enough to take away the smoke. Similarly, sattvic desire obscures Atman, covers Atman in the same way. Even though a sattvic desire is an impurity, the sattvic desire does not completely cover it. Even though it is there, you can still see the brilliance of Atman shining forth through a sattvic person. The moment you start dedicating your actions to something higher, your actions become so attractive, your actions become so magnificent, so divine, that a person outside is completely overwhelmed by it. He sees the divinity in and through the sattvic desire. First. Second thing is, all that human effort can do is establish yourself in sattva. When you are 100% sattvic, you cannot exist as a human being as 100% sattva, so you naturally transcend and get to the state of self-realization. So, sattvic desire, examples of sattvic desire are desire to realize the self, desire to do service to humanity, desire to fulfill your obligations. For instance, when Nachiketas went to Lord Yama and asked him to teach him Brahma Vidya, Lord Yama was away and he was made to wait for 3 whole days. So when Lord Yama came back, his staff told him that, look, here's a Brahmin boy who's come and we've made him wait for 3 days. So Lord Yama feels sorry for it. You know, in those days they had this reverence, they had the value for Brahmanism. Brahmanism means not the son of a Brahmin, it means sattvic quality. A highly sattvic individual they understood as extremely valuable to society, so a sattvic individual was revered, respected. Since he was made to wait for 3 days, Lord Yama goes to Nachiketas and says, I'll give you 3 boons. You choose whatever you want. First boon, Nachiketas says, when I chose to come here to learn Brahma Vidya, my father was very agitated. So please appease his agitation, obligation, desire to fulfill your obligation as a son. Tathastu, said Lord Yama. Second, desire to serve society. He says, teach me the art of performing yajna. Yajna means acts of service and sacrifice dedicated for the well-being of society, loka sangraha. And number 3, teach me Brahma Vidya, desire to realize the self. All 3 desires, all 3 boons that he asked for are highly sattvic. Next, Rajasic desire, he says, is like dust on a mirror. When you leave your home and go on a vacation for a month, come back and take a look at your mirror, even though you've shut all the doors and windows, there'll be a layer of dust on the mirror. That layer of dust on the mirror obscures your vision of, you can't see your image properly in the mirror. First thing. Second thing is, it needs effort. You need to take a duster and wipe that mirror clean. It doesn't go by itself. Rajasic desire is like that. Selfishness, self-centeredness, ego, arrogance. These are all attributes of Rajas. When Rajas is there, you can't see the divinity behind it all because you make mistakes. The desire and the ego puts people off. First thing. Second thing is, you need to put in enormous effort to get over this desire and ego. Very difficult to overcome. Desire is sometimes easier. Ego is very difficult. You know who I am? Kind of thing. You know, in Mumbai, there was many years ago, there were a group of people taking the train from Pune to Mumbai. And they were sitting there and surreptitiously having drinks, alcohol. As the number of drinks downed increased, the hiding went away. They started having it openly. So the inspectors who were passing by in the compartment saw it and caught them and said, look, they happened to be very senior inspectors, senior officers. And they said, look, you're violating the law, you're not supposed to imbibe alcohol in the train. And there's one of them, they were obviously very well-to-do people. So one person turned around and said, how dare you talk to me like that? You know who I am? I am the Maharaja of Idar. So that officer had a sense of humor. He said, yes sir, I know, I didn't know that, but I'm very happy to meet you. The only thing is, very soon you will be neither idhar nor udhar, you will be andar. And it did put him in jail. This is what ego does. If the same person had not been egoistic, he would have been able to diffuse the situation. All he had to say is, sorry, I didn't know, I won't do it. Finished. But the moment you say, you know who I am, that's it. Desire and ego. Desire for money, for position, for power, status. You want to be a celebrity, you want your picture to appear in the papers, you want to appear on TV, you want to all kinds of things. None of which make any sense after some time. You need to be able to look at it as Shankaracharya calls it, pratipaksha bhavana. These desires, these rajasic desires which all of us have, look at it from a different perspective. And it loses its value, it loses its meaning, it's useless pursuing it. And yet, all of us lose our sleep over this. It needs enormous effort to overcome it. Tamasic desire, he says, it is like the embryo is covered by the uterus. First thing, you can't see the embryo. I'm not talking about, what is that? Ultrasonic, minus that. to the naked eye. You don't know whether it's a boy or a girl, thank God for that. You don't know normal or abnormal, you don't know anything. First point. Second point is, you cannot rush it. If the mother who is expecting a baby says, oh, I'm fed up, I want to finish it off, you can't. You have to wait the normal course. Tamasic desire is like that. It completely obscures the divinity in you. You appear disgusting. Divinity is not apparent at all. And second thing which you need to remember is, you need to wait for a period of time before you can overcome tamas. Wait for a period of time doesn't mean, oh, the Gita 38th verse says you have to wait, so I'll wait. It doesn't mean that. What it means is, in spite of your best efforts, however much effort you make to get over a tamasic quality, it doesn't go. It's obstinate. It's big-headed. It's stubborn. It remains. It's like a stubborn stain on fabric. Doesn't go till many washes, means many times you have to keep repeating it to yourself, and then you might, if you're consistent about it, it'll go. In the Ramayana, he gives 3 examples of all these 3 qualities. Kumbhakarna was a tamasic person. He slept through the entire episode and got destroyed in the end. Ravana was a rajasic person. What is interesting is, he had very fine attributes. He was an able administrator, he was a good manager, he was a good king in the sense, he knew how to rule. In fact, he was so competent that Rama sent Lakshmana to learn administration and how to rule the kingdom from Ravana. Yet, in spite of all these attributes, because he didn't have the right values, because of the absence of sattva in that person, Ravana lost everything. He lost his kingdom, he lost his wealth, he lost his life. This is what we need to remember. Rajas appears tempting in the beginning. And all of us are competent authorities in our own way. But if you don't have that, at least that little bit of sattva, we will meet with the same fate as Ravana did. Vibhishan was the sattvic individual. And he was the only survivor in the end. And he was the one who got the kingdom after the battle. So, as fire is obscured, avriyate means hidden, masked, shrouded. Robert Browning calls it imprisoned splendor. What a beautiful term to use. We're all imprisoned by sattva, rajas and tamas. So, this sattva, rajas and tamas, depending on the quality, the desire that we have, we need to treat it differently. If it's a tamasic desire and you have been following it consistently, you are a victim of certain indulgences. You need to know how to tackle it, otherwise you will not be able to overcome it. And in order to help us, in the Ramayana itself, he gives this instance of, when Rama was going to Lanka to reclaim Sita, one of the kingdoms he went through was the monkey kingdom. And in that, Sugriva was the rightful heir to the throne. Sugriva literally means well controlled. And Sugriva had been ousted by his own brother Vali. Vali represents lust. And Vali had taken over the kingdom and Sugriva's wife as well. So when Rama was passing by, Sugriva appealed to Rama and said, look, please help me, this brother of mine has taken away my kingdom. So what happened is, Rama said, you challenge him to fight. And when you fight, Sugriva said, are you mad? I'm so weak. And this Vali is so powerful that he'll beat me any day. Rama said, don't worry, I'll be in the background, and when you're fighting Vali, I'll shoot and kill him. So Sugriva said, okay, since you say so, I'll do it. He was still diffident. And he went there and challenged Vali to battle. Vali thought that Sugriva had completely lost it, because he was very powerful. Still, since he had challenged him, he said, okay, I'll go finish him off once and for all. He came down to battle, and as they were fighting, Rama realized that he had made a mistake. You know what the mistake was? He couldn't distinguish between the two monkeys. As they were fighting, he didn't know which one was Sugriva and which one was Vali, so he couldn't shoot. And Vali pulverized Sugriva, broke every bone in his body, and then left him there to die, walked off. Sugriva came back to Rama and said, Rama, what did you think? Is this your idea of a joke? What have you done? So Rama said, I'm really sorry, I made the mistake of not giving you an identification. When you were fighting him, I couldn't tell the difference between you. On top of that, you're brothers. First of all, you're monkeys, and then you're brothers. So this time, next time you go and challenge him, you wear a garland, so that I know the person without the garland is Vali. Sugriva said, look, once bitten, twice shy, Rama, there's no way I'm going again. Rama persuaded him once more. And when he challenged Vali the next time, Rama knew exactly who Sugriva was and who Vali was. The story is that Rama hid behind a tree and shot Vali. Right? Many people who read the Ramayana wonder and criticize. They say, why did Rama, a king with such tremendous power and valor and marksmanship, why did he have to hide behind a tree and kill Vali? But there's a significance there. Vali, as we said, represents lust, which means a particular indulgence, a particular bad habit that you've got into. If you want to overcome that, you have to do what Rama did, hide behind a tree and shoot. Which means, say for instance, you are under you're vulnerable to alcohol. You know you have no control over drinking. So if you make up your mind that no, I have to control, this is something that is disturbing my life, how do you do it? You can't say, okay, from tomorrow onwards I'm going to stop drinking. But then every evening you end up in a bar or a pub where everybody else is drinking. You don't stand a chance of being able to control it. So what you need to do is withdraw, get away from the scene of the indulgence. Then there is some chance of your being able to control it. Otherwise, you're fighting a losing battle. You might as well not make the attempt. It's a very useful tip there. A person who is on a diet, who has a difficulty controlling her diet, his or her diet, is indulgent as far as food is concerned. Can't expect to control if every evening she's going partying, and at every party there's delicious, fabulous food. You have to withdraw into an area where only diet food is available. Then you can control. So withdraw and shoot is the thing. Rajasic. These are tamasic things, very, very difficult to control. So as smoke around fire, as dust on mirror, as embryo in a uterus, so is this Atman covered by it desire. 39.
Avrutam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha.
Kaunteya, son of Kunti, knowledge is veiled by this unquenchable fire in the form of desire. this constant foe of the wise. So this is the third word he uses to denote enemy, Nityavairinam. Nityavairin, constant enemy. O Kaunteya, knowledge is veiled by this unquenchable fire in the form of desire. In verse 37, Arjuna asks the question, what is it that prevents me from doing what I think is right? And what is it that takes me into wrong avenues as if by force? In 36.